Hello and welcome to Stamper School. This is Julie Maxon, the Maine Stamper. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I live in Maine, USA. These short lessons in the basics of Stampin Up products are intended to give you the confidence you need in paper crafting, whether you're a complete beginner or an entirely experienced stamper. Now, in today's class, we are going to be talking about adhesives. Now, this is a very sticky situation. We all need adhesives for our paper crafting projects, and there's a lot of adhesives to choose from. Now, in the annual catalog currently, it is on page 138. It gives you a whole bunch of choices with adhesives, and I'm going to share with you some tips with some of them. I'm going to talk about my favorite adhesives. I'm going to talk about my least favorite adhesive. So there, again, choices when it comes to adhesives. Obviously, you're going to use what you love, but I'm going to show you what I use, and maybe these tips will help you to use some of your adhesives a little bit differently. Let's start with my very favorite adhesives. I am a green glue girl. Love the green glue. Now, this is not really green glue, right? So you're going to see that the caps on this, Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. It's a multi-purpose glue. There's two ends. The caps are green. The glue is not. The glue is white. But it's called green glue just because of the caps. Now, if these caps were purple, it'd be called purple glue, right? So it's called green glue for those that call it green glue. So I always use the small end of my glue. I never ever use the broad end. That's way too much glue. There's a lot of glue that comes out of this end, and that's usually enough. Now, when you use your glue, you're not going to squeeze the bottle. You're not going to hold the bottle up and just squeeze it out. That's going to be way too much glue as well. When I use the glue, I typically will hold the tip flat onto my paper. So it's on here as flat as it can be. I'm not even holding it above it. I'm holding it right on top of the paper, and I'm just very gently squeezing. So I'm not gonna glop it on because glue comes out really fast. Notice that I didn't go, I don't know if you can tell in the white, probably not, but I don't go all the way to the edges because when you put this on something, it is going to glop out. I don't know if this is the right size paper to adhere to this paper, but I have some scraps to kind of play with. Now, green glue gives you wiggle room, so I have a couple of seconds here, if you can see a little bit of movement. I have some time here to wiggle this around, slide it a little bit. Now, you're not going to be able to slide it a lot, but you can slide it. So green glue gives you that advantage. You can also, if you're not really happy with it, you have a few minutes of tackiness. So I've just removed it. Now to put this back on, my best tip is to apply more glue. Even though there's glue here and glue here, when you add an extra little bit of glue, you're giving this paper the ability to glide all over again. Otherwise, it's just tacky and sticky. So you can reuse this paper, this glue. Once it dries, though, this glue is not going to come, the projects are not going to come apart. That's why I love green glue. When it's done, this will be glued for forever, which is not always the case in some adhesives, right? If you have older projects that you've pulled out that you taped together many years ago and they're falling apart, that frustrates me. And that's why I love the green glue. So the green glue is my favorite glue. Now, if you have problems getting maybe you leave it on capped foil and it gets stuck. The tops come off the opposite of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So you have to take them off in the opposite way. And you can shake the glue down if it's a little bit tight there. And then you can come in with something pokey, a pin, a paper clip will work. Sometimes I'll use the tip of my take your tool pick, and you're going to just run this underwater. You're going to actually poke this right down in through there, and you're going to get out whatever glob is clogging up that little nozzle. And just remember, these go on opposite of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So keep your glue covered when you're not using it so you don't get those problems, but I love the green glue. So that's a little bit about the green glue. My second favorite tape or adhesive is the Taran tape. If you watch any of my videos, I use Taran tape for a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things. I love the Taran tape. What's nice about the Taran tape, double-sided tape, but it has a plastic coating on one side, right? It comes in a nice big roll. So what you do, it's not, if you guys remember the orange tape that was like you had to cut it and it was really difficult. It had kind of a vinyl coating. This is easy. You just tear it. It tears off wherever you want to cut off a piece of it. And you can tear it again, right? So you can tear it into pieces. And then when you put it on your project, this is super, super strong adhesive. I use this for 3Ds. I use this for ribbon. It is really great for holding down ribbons. And I loved that you just pull off the top. Now, if you have a hard time pulling off the top this way, again, with the Take Your Pick tool, you can use your spatula end and you can just come through here and you can peel off the top this way. So there's a couple of ways to go at this tape. Super strong tape. This is going to hold also really, really well. I love Taran tape. Those are my two favorite. If those are the only tapes you had, that would be like the end. That's all you need. But there are things like tape runners for people who love tape runners. Now, tape runners are kind of a different little beast, right? Stampin' Seal and Stampin' Seal Plus are different in the Stampin' Up! World. Stampin' Seal is your regular, it's a heavy-duty tape. Stampin' Seal Plus is almost like the equivalent of Taran tape. So when you have these tape runners, basically the tape is coming out the end here and it kind of spools up. So you have a section that has good tape and then a section that has the used leftover paper. And when you run your tape runner, you want to make sure that you've got your sticky here at the bottom of your roller. You're going to just push this down on the paper. You're going to pull backwards. And then you're going to kind of flick off to the side and you've got a nice little spot here. This is all tape runner, right? Now, if it jams up, you just roll it a little bit, and these are meant to be refilled. So the cap comes off. Look at how sticky this is inside. I've had this one for a long time. So probably this, I don't use it a lot. I use the green glue. Probably I need to clean all this up. This is extra sticky stuff. And there we go. I'm going to get that off my finger to the side. So this comes off the spindles right here, just like this, and then you would put a new one. They come in refill packs, right? So you put a new one in. When it runs out, you just refill it. You can use the same case over and over again, and then you just snap it back together. And that is a little bit about the tape runners. So, and then they come with a nice little covering here so you can keep that covered so it doesn't get all sticky and wonky on the inside. So those are your tape runners. Of course, people love the tape runners, right? But there's more choices. There are glue dots. Now, glue dots are like, they've been around for forever, right? Glue dots, this is a brand new box. So I'm going to show you on my roll here that I currently use. For your glue dots, you can actually add a little piece of ribbon. I happen to have white on white, so it might be harder to see. But this is going to keep this open end from like unraveling completely, right? So I've got this little piece right here. So kind of I can pull it up. I can see that there's a glue dot right here. So when you use the glue dots, you're going to use them for smaller applications when you just need a little bit of sticking without having to put in some glue or some tape. And the glue dots get flatter as the packaging goes, because you're going to see that. Let me open up this one real quick. You're going to see that as you start out, your glue dot's going to be fatter because they're not being squished and compressed. So as you get closer to the center of your roll, some of your glue dots are going to be really flat and flattened from just being pressured in. So with glue dots, the nice thing with glue dots is when you take them off, little bits of glue here, and you're not gonna be able to really see it, but you can manipulate them. You can kind of squish them up into like a little bit of a glue dot ball. So you can manipulate a glue dot that way if you need to, if it's too flat and you need it squished up. So that's glue dots. Glue dots are very handy also for small ribbons and small bits. Let's talk about dimensionals. I also love dimensionals. These are also some of my favorite items. Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, they're self-adhesive foam mounts. Now I'm going to show you from my actual case of dimensionals. I keep mine in the clear DVD style cases. So Stampin' Up! Sells these in 4-packs, and I use them for lots of things, but they're really handy for my dimensionals because there's so many kinds of dimensionals. So there's the big dimensionals. These are the regular size dimensionals. I don't even know if I have any. I do. I have some right here. So this is the size of the regular dimensional, right? And then you're going to see here, I have actually started chopping up the sides of my dimensionals as well here. So when you use your dimensionals, don't just use the little hexagon shapes in the middle. Chop up all the outside edges and use those. Those are also sticky dimensionals. Everything on here is sticky. And once you pull off the backing, let's bring in another scrap paper here. So you pull off, you put your dimensional onto your project. This is going to add that little bit of lift. It gives you just the slightest little bit. You're going to pull off the backing, you're going to pop it onto your project, and you're going to have dimension, right? It's going to look higher than when we glued it or taped it flat. So flat and dimensional, totally different looks. I love dimensionals on a project. There are large ones, like I've said. There are mini dimensionals. So you've got these teeny tiny ones. They're so much smaller and they're great for small projects. Now you can cut down big ones, but you can't cut down little ones, right? But the little ones come in handy. I love them. Now besides white dimensionals, we also have black dimensionals. Now the black comes in a multi-pack. So you're going to get the minis. This one happens to have the backing off of it. And you're also going to get the large ones. And these are, if you take off the cover, they're black. on both sides. So what that is great for is a dark colored cardstock project where maybe you don't want white to see through, because people are going to be lifting up your projects and kind of taking a look at them to see, well, how does this go together, right? So I'm going to just pretend that I'm going to not use that one. So there's a look at dimensionals. I love dimensionals. I can't recommend them enough. I think they make your projects really pop, and I mean that in a good way. Let's talk about my least favorite adhesive glue. The fine tip glue pen. This is my nemesis. Now, fine tip glue sounds great, right? It's kind of a clear glue. It's very tacky. The problem is the fine tip part. I don't use this glue because I feel like the Tombow green glue works better. Now this comes off of here. There's a nice little white cap. I'm going to show that there is a very needle fine tip here, and it's probably really, really hard to see, but there is a needle tip here where the glue is going to come out. There's also a needle here in the top of this bottle cap, and you're supposed to actually fit this in here. This little pin will go into this little metal part to keep the glue from clogging, which in my case doesn't work. It always clogs. So there is, and I know people sometimes will just keep like a safety pin or something in here, or a little pin, a sewing pin, right, with a little bead head, just to kind of try to keep it longer and to keep the glue from clogging. I have a really hard time with this, and I even have a hard time lining up this little metal piece back into this little metal piece because it is really, really tiny. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on this video because I'm going to need to lift this up close to my eyes to try to get this in here. So this is going to go back in here at some point, and it's going to try to keep my glue from clogging up. Now this is also a very sticky glue. Now obviously if you're using this, I don't even know if anything's going to come out of here because I haven't used it in so long. But you're going to see from the fine tip that it's going to be a very fine tip. It's going to be a very fine glue, which would be great if it didn't clog up so easily. So that is a look at glues today. I would love to know what your favorite glues are. Of course, my favorite glue is going to be Tombow and Taran tape. And they were so easy to use, right? They were easier to use than a runner, easier to use than the fine glue. And of course, don't forget your dimensionals. Don't forget your glue dots. These are all great tools to help you to create really amazing projects. So don't let your things come apart at the seams. Keep them sticky, keep them adhered. You're going to have a lot of fun when you try out some different adhesives and see what works best for you. Thank you for joining me for Stamper School today. I would love to know if you found this class helpful. If you have a product topic you'd like me to cover in a future lesson, please comment with your suggestions or ideas and tell me, are you a glue or a tape girl? All right, everyone, stay creative and see you in the next session of Stamper School. Bye.